Scammers are pulling a new trick. I've just learned they're now sending fake voicemail notifications that look like they're from your doctor, your pharmacy, your kid's school, even your bank. The message shows up as an email saying you have a new voicemail. There's a link or an attachment to listen to it. If you click it, you're installing malware and spyware, or you're taken to a fake login page where scammers steal your passwords, your social security number, everything. They create urgency in the subject line. That's key here. It says important voicemail or missed call alert, or I saw one that said voicemail from your doctor's office, and it works. We act fast when we think we missed something important. It's science, it's psychology. Don't fall for it. Never click on any email saying it's a voicemail. If you accidentally click on it, it happens. Turn on multi-factor authentication immediately, so even if they get your password, you're still pinged if they try to access it, they can't get in.
Could you lose your life savings or your safety in seconds? Scammers are evolving, using fake fraud alerts to drain bank accounts and even staging flat tires to abduct women in parking lots. This isn't just about money. It's about survival against increasingly sophisticated predators. You need to recognize these new tactics immediately. Watch closely, then tell me in the comments, which of these terrifying scams are you seeing in your area?
Scam alert, everybody. There is a new scam that you need to be aware of, and it's very clever and lots of people are falling foul of it. It is called the capture scam. People are falling foul of it when they complete a capture test, but it's actually a fake capture. If you don't know what a capture is, you might be familiar with this. This is a capture test that you'll often see on a website. It helps to determine whether an online user is a human or a bot. I've certainly completed a lot of these in my time, and I'm sure you probably have too. But in the fake capture test that is going around, the capture will ask you to complete a certain set of instructions, such as pressing keys in a particular order. If you do complete these commands, then malicious software can then be downloaded onto your phone, otherwise known as malware. This can then be used by hackers to steal your data and your money. So be sure to be on high alert every time you see one of these captures, and never complete a set of commands or instructions such as pressing particular keys on your phone. As a reminder, this is what a genuine capture looks like. This is what one of the scam versions could look like.
Y'all, the scammers are getting smarter. I placed an order from DoorDash for lunch today, and as I was waiting for it, I got a call from who caller ID said was DoorDash order. So I answered, because sometimes I get calls when like my order is canceled or something like that. So answer it, and it says it's somebody from support and my order has been canceled, but they're trying to reactivate it for me and they just need some information. And I was like, well, I need to go. Like, I can't wait for this to be done. And this person would not take no for an answer. They're like, no, I'll just do it. And I was like, okay, whatever, fine. I got annoyed. So he asked for my email address. I actually gave him my husband's, which is on the account. And he was typing it in. I heard him and I was like, wait a second, shouldn't you have my email address? So I said, hold on. He was asking me about my phone number at that time, and I was like, this sounds like a scam. Like, what's going on? And this guy hung up on me. So I reached out to DoorDash support. Come to find out, they didn't call me. So this was a scammer that somehow knew that I ordered. So keep your eyes out, y'all. The scammers are getting smart.
Did you know there's a new banking scam? And motherfuckers tried to get me yesterday, but since I'm suspicious of everything, it didn't work. And I'm going to share it with you right now because you need to share it with all of your family and friends. They're getting good. So here's what happened. You know how your bank will send you those text messages for fraud alerts if you have a weird charge? Well, I got one yesterday. Here it is. Looks exactly like the one sent from my bank. So I replied no because I am not in Portland, Oregon. I'm in East Tennessee. I do wish we had a Target though. Bank calls me back, starts asking me all of the normal questions. They tell me they're going to stop the charge at Target, but there's also been several bill pays that were done yesterday and a few payments to random people. Then they wanted me to go into my online banking app, and this is when the red flags went up. They said that in order for me to stop payment on these random people, I would need to go into my pay a person portion of the online banking app and do a test run so they could verify my identity. I'm sorry, what? You want me to add you as a contact to my pay a person? Yeah, that's not happening. When I said absolutely not and told them that was never going to happen, the line went silent. I then hung up and called my bank directly and started asking them questions. They confirmed that this is a new scam and that if I had added them and sent them even one penny, their systems would have been able to link to my account and drain it. So here's the warning. If you receive a text from your bank about a fraud alert of any kind, Or if anyone calls you saying that they are from your bank, hang up the phone and you call your bank directly. 99.9% of the time, the bank is never going to call you. You need to call them. And I'm putting this out there because it is so heartbreaking to me to know that there are people who will fall for this and have their money stolen. So for added measure, I updated my password and I'm now heading into the bank to get a new debit card because that card's been locked.
A new scam that's going around that you need to be aware of, and it's a good one. One that would have gotten me, one of my family members, or even one of my loved ones. You're gonna get a package delivered to your home. It may be a box, it may be a padded envelope. It will be addressed to you with your information on it, and it may or may not have a sender address on it. Cool, somebody has sent me something. You open up the package. Inside is a QR code that you need to scan to find out what your gift is. The instant that you scan it, you have handed over every single piece of information you have on your phone. And I mean everything. We're talking about your passwords, your text messages, your photographs, your emails, your banking information, everything, including access to your cloud and local devices. And time may pass and you may think, oh, they didn't get me. I scanned the QR code, but I'm totally fine. Nothing happened. They may literally just be sitting on the access or monitoring your activity. These scammers are becoming incredibly clever and finding so many different ways to access your information. And don't put your head in the sand. Don't think, oh, this could never happen to me, because it's literally happening to people every single day.
Honestly, listening to all of this is genuinely terrifying because these scammers are getting way too sophisticated. It feels like you can't trust anything anymore, not even a simple CAPTCHA test or a call from your own bank. The DoorDash story really freaked me out because the timing was so perfect. But that QR code package scam? That is totally something I would have fallen for just out of pure curiosity. It is exhausting feeling like you have to be paranoid about every single text, delivery, and click just to keep your bank account safe. Stick around because you'll want to see what happens next.
2 women entered my car in Utah and tried to kidnap my children. I kid you not. This is not my usual content. I'm here to spread joy and happy things. But yesterday I was on here scrolling and I saw Jane, a very famous creator, guys. She's the one who does like all the Utah mom parodies and stuff. Hi, Jane. I love you. Shared a scary experience in Utah in a parking lot with her kids, and it brought back a flood of memories. This is to help educate other moms, not to spread fear. It will be the one and only time I probably ever talk about this. So one morning I drove to the gym with my small children. I had a new car, so I didn't know that when I parked, the doors automatically unlocked. To see where this is going, pull up to the gym, front row parking, broad daylight, maybe about 8:30 a.m. It's generally very safe. My 2 young children are in the rear seats, not in this car. It was a different car. Each morning I would make my son a bottle, so I'm mixing up his formula. Usually I would unbuckle my toddler and let him stretch his legs. I kid you not, I had a feeling, just wait. So I didn't. I'm sitting there making the bottle when I hear my 2 rear doors open up. Now this is where I am so thankful that all those posts online prepared me for this moment. And what do they advise? Be vicious, be mama dog, cuss, go crazy. So they open the back doors. I'm seeing women put their hands in towards my kids, scream, what the F are you doing? Get the F out of my car, get the H away. And I just, the women immediately slam the door shut. I lock my door as fast as I can, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what just happened? I'm in shock, but my door is locked. I slowly unroll my window because the one woman is still standing there, not directly across from me, but like by my child. I rolled down my window. I said, hey, sorry, I yelled at you, but what were you doing? And she goes, no habla inglés. Intuition is like, don't trust her. I'm sitting there. I start looking for unmarked vehicles. And at the back of my car, there is now a 3rd woman. There are 3 women not leaving my car. Just 3 women behind my car, and they're not leaving. And they're pointing at the door with my toddler, who was nonverbal at the time. Anyway, sorry guys, this brings up emotions. They're pointing, and I'm thinking, are they pointing at the iPad, or is this something more nefarious? So I decide that I'm gonna get them away from my kids. I got my keys. I unlocked just my door, and I got my phone out. Lock it, and then I get my phone in their face, and I say something to the effect of, get away from my kids, get away from my car. I know you can understand me. I'm calling the cops, get away. They understood what I said. Let's just put it that way. At this time, 2 innocent looking guys are leaving the gym and they look at me and I just say, hey, woman, these women just tried to come into my car. I think they were trying to kidnap my kids. Do either one of you speak Spanish? And the guy was like, yeah, I went on a mission. I speak Spanish. And I said, can you ask them what was going on? And they go to talk to them. And of course, the women don't comply. They won't talk with them. At this point, I think my adrenaline is going. Women inside the daycare are familiar with my children. If I can get them dropped off, then I can call the cops real fast. But I just want to get my kids safe at this point. I'm not going to sit in my car like a target and have them come after me again. And I'm not going to drive back to my home and have them follow me. They are off. I don't know how far, let's just say like, I don't know, 5 or 6 cars away from me. So I look in my rearview mirror, I don't see anybody, and I decide, okay, let's get out of here. I unbuckle my child. My baby was in a Duna, which is like so fast to take out, right? Get him on my hip, open the door. I'm still looking. They're there. I don't see anyone around me. And I take out the Duna, slam the car, shut it. And they're still standing there. And I yell at them again, stay away from my kids, stay away from my car. Mama carries in her car and I let them know it, if you get what I'm saying. I run inside with my kids, get them dropped off. The girls at the gym were so nice, so I call the cops immediately. I call the cops. I file a police report. This was my first time calling the police for anything like this. They were not exactly helpful, I will tell you that. They said, well, why did you leave? Where did they go? What vehicle did they get in? Okay. Some woman just got into my car and I should have stayed. So I go outside at that time. They're gone. I don't know if I did the right thing leaving, but I know that I protected my kids, that I am more hypervigilant than ever in parking lots. If you have special needs children, I would highly suggest a doctor's appointment to get a handicap parking pass, so you're not an easy target if you're alone with your kids. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I'm a Midwest girl, so I have a concealed you know what. All else fails, yell, scream, go crazy, scare them away. If they're not child abductors, you can always apologize. But the alternative is, if you're not, like, scary things can happen.
There have been multiple abductions lately from women who are getting a knock on the window while they're in a Starbucks parking lot, while they're at Target parking lot, mall parking lots. When they are sitting there, have their windows up, make sure you lock your door, because they're knocking on your window and telling you have a flat tire. They want you to get out of the vehicle because they're going to abduct you. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. Don't even roll your window down a little bit. Don't. Just give them the thumbs up. If they continue to try to get you out of the vehicle, because that's what it seems like they're doing in all of these incidents, honk your horn as many times as you can. Draw as much attention as you possibly can to you. And supposedly they are flattening your tire with a knife so that you do have the flat tire. Okay, cool. All right, cool. If you feel endangered in any way, reverse, go forward. Doesn't matter what you do. Ride that rim out. Ride it out. Your life is more precious than the rim anyway. Okay, so don't let them win.
Okay, I was just trying to sell a couch from my apartment, and this video should get attention for the safety of women everywhere. I was messaging a woman on OfferUp to come and get the couch, and it was, she was delayed like a half hour. I was like, hey, like, I only came back to sell the couch. I have to leave again. Like, please let me know your ETA. So she knew that I was leaving again. And when she showed up, she spoke no English with a very large, intimidating man. And they were disappointed with the color of the couch, and they were trying to bargain me down, and I just said no. And the smell coming off this man left a stench in my apartment when he left. So I was like, okay, I am a little on edge. They're like unhappy about the price, but I don't need to give this to you. Like, you said what you said and you don't want it. That's fine. And so they left, and she kept talking to him in Spanish, and I was about to grab my bag to leave, and I noticed that they weren't driving away. They were right in front of my apartment building. And I was looking at the road, and I'm like, you're not waiting for cars to go by. Like, why aren't you leaving? And then they moved their car. They had parked like half a block away from my building. They moved their truck right in front of my building, parked, turned off the car, and sat there. And I was like, am I overthinking this? Or are they like waiting until I'm leaving? Because she knows that I'm trying to leave. And they want this couch. He said to me, we're taking this down to Mexico right now.
I live close to Mexico, and I know that shit happens all the time, and you never think anything's going to happen to you. But I was like, okay, I'm by myself. They're inside my apartment. They see that nobody else is with me, and they know I'm about to leave. Why are you sitting in front of my apartment? Why did you move your truck closer to my building? Why aren't you leaving? So now I'm kind of freaking out, and I call the cops, and they transfer me to the non-emergency line, and I, tell them what's going on. And then as that's happening, they drive away. And now I'm like watching my back. I'm like, are you kidding me? They can come back at any time. They can call a friend. Horrible. And then I'm thinking, like, they're going to Mexico right now. Like, God forbid something happened. I would be in Mexico right now and no one would know what happened to me. And that's not, like, an unheard of, unfortunately, thing. And it's broad daylight, Don't do these things at night. It's a large piece of furniture. I couldn't have easily met them, like, somewhere else. But I'm never doing that again. So be aware that you may be messaging someone on OfferUp, but someone else might come with them, and it might be scary.
This is a little concerning. Not even an hour ago, I was laying down to try to take a nap with the husband, and then somebody knocks on the door. They're pounding on the door. So we get up, we're like, what the heck? And I go and answer it, and there's a man standing there with a bottle of Blue Dawn, and he says that they're giving out free product. So then he asks if this is a good time. I don't care for solicitors, so I'm like, not really. I work from home. And he goes, okay. And he turns around and he's like, there's usually 3 cars in the driveway. Are you home alone? And I'm like, no, my husband's here. He also works full-time from home. We're always here. So then he puts his hands up and he backs up and he goes, oh, sorry to intrude. I hope you have a good day. Then he leaves. Our driveway, our house doesn't face the road, so you can't see our cars unless you're driving up the driveway. I'm concerned.
Man, listening to all of these stories honestly makes my stomach drop, because it really highlights just how relentless these scammers and predators have become. It used to be that we could just laugh off those poorly written emails from a so-called prince asking for a wire transfer, but we are clearly living in a different world now. The level of sophistication involved in these banking scams is what really scares me the most. The fact that they can spoof the bank's actual phone number and send a text that looks identical to the real fraud alerts we get is terrifying. It plays perfectly on our panic response, because the moment you think your money is being stolen, your logic brain shuts down and you just want to fix it. The idea that they try to get you to verify your identity by doing a test transaction through Zelle or a pay a person feature is so manipulative, because it sounds like a security measure, but it's actually the trap door. I have to remind myself constantly that banks simply do not operate like that. But in the heat of the moment, I can absolutely see how smart, capable people fall for it. Then you have the sheer audacity of the tech scams, like the fake DoorDash support calls or the QR codes on random packages. That package scam is particularly insidious because we live in such an instant gratification culture where we order things online constantly. If a mysterious box showed up at my door, my first instinct wouldn't be danger, it would be curiosity, and that is exactly what they are banking on. The thought that scanning one little code could basically hand over the keys to my entire digital life, including my cloud data and passwords, is a nightmare scenario. And don't even get me started on the fake CAPTCHA tests. We are so conditioned to clicking those silly boxes to prove we aren't robots that it never crossed my mind that the test itself could be the malware delivery system. It just goes to show that we can't operate on autopilot anymore when we are online. However, what really kept me on the edge of my seat while hearing this were the physical safety threats, especially the stories involving women and mothers in parking lots. It is chilling to think about someone watching you at a Target or a Starbucks, just waiting for you to be distracted. The tactic of telling someone they have a flat tire or knocking on the window is designed to prey on our polite society norms. We are taught to be helpful and nice, but these stories are a stark reminder that being polite can actually get you killed. I loved the advice about being mama dog and getting loud. The story about the mom in Utah who just started screaming and cursing when those women opened her car doors is exactly the energy we need to have. It doesn't matter if you look crazy to bystanders because making a scene is what saves your life. It really hit home when she mentioned that the police weren't super helpful afterwards, which just reinforces that we are our own first line of defense. The story about the solicitor with the dish soap really freaked me out too, because that wasn't just a scam, that was casing a house. The way he asked if she was home alone and noted the cars in the driveway is straight out of a horror movie. It's a good reminder that we don't owe strangers at our door any information, and honestly, we don't even owe them the courtesy of opening the door. The OfferUp story was just as disturbing because it shows the dangers of letting the digital world cross into our physical space. The fact that the woman brought a large, intimidating man and then they just sat outside the apartment afterwards waiting for her to leave is terrifying. It sounds like a potential trafficking situation or a kidnapping attempt that was narrowly avoided just because she trusted her gut. And that really seems to be the common thread through all of this, which is trusting your intuition. Whether it's a weird feeling about a phone call from the bank, a bad vibe from a stranger in a parking lot, or a sketchy situation selling furniture, your gut knows before your brain does. We have to stop worrying about being rude or being wrong. I would rather be the crazy lady who wouldn't roll down her window or the rude person who hung up on a customer service agent than be a victim. It is exhausting to have to be this hyper-vigilant all the time, but hearing these stories is a necessary wake-up call to lock our doors, double-check our surroundings, and never, ever let our guard down.